Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Playeasy Warmup, the podcast where we dive into the stories, people, and places driving the sporting event and tourism industry forward. I'm your host, Kerri Shields. Today's guest is someone I'm especially excited to sit down with. Clay Partain is the Chief Sports Officer at Visit Salt Lake. But on a personal level, he's also someone I'm lucky to consider both a mentor and a friend in this industry. What I've always admired about Clay is the way he's constantly looking ahead. He's one of the most respected people in sports tourism and incredibly gracious with his time and knowledge always. But he's also always challenging the way things have traditionally been done, embracing new ideas and technology, and thinking about how we can continue to move our industry forward. As you'll learn today, it's exactly how he earned his current position. I've been lucky enough to experience that firsthand through our partnership with Sports Salt Lake and Visit Salt Lake. Clay and his team have been incredible partners to us at Playeasy, always willing to beta test new technology, give honest feedback, and really just believe in what we're building. His willingness to embrace innovation and push us to think bigger has been incredible. That forward-thinking approach has also helped make Sports Salt Lake what it is today, one of the leading sports tourism destinations in the country. Clay has had a front row seat to that evolution, helping shape and grow Sports Salt Lake while positioning the destination for an incredibly exciting future as Salt Lake looks ahead to the 2034 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Olympics. We had such a great conversation about his journey. He's someone I've known for a few years, but being able to hear just the background of how he got where he is today, and I think you can really understand the way he thinks and just where he sees the industry going. He also touches on the evolution of Sports Salt Lake, the importance of continuing to innovate, and what he sees ahead for our industry. I'm really excited to share this one with you. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Today's episode is brought to you by Sports Salt Lake. Sports Salt Lake is showing off the destination like you've never seen it before. Their new hype video brings "What's Your Sport? We Host Them All" to life, taking sports out of traditional venues and placing them against some of Salt Lake's most beautiful, iconic backdrops. From rugby at the Capitol Building and fencing on the Bonneville Salt Flats to volleyball overlooking the downtown skyline. It's a bold look at what makes Salt Lake such a unique sports destination, where a world-class competition meets incredible landscapes, downtown energy, and an experience you simply can't replicate anywhere else. Built to host, born to play. Take a look.
What's your sport?
Empty at the pump. Live it up, live it up, live it up. I'm at the top, so you know I'm gon' live it up. Live it up, live it up, live it up. Live it up, live it up, live it up. Live it up, live it up, live it up.
What's your sport?
We host them all. Sports Salt Lake, built to host, born to play.
Clay, welcome to the Playeasy Warmup podcast.
Hey, Kerri, this is great. Loving that I'm here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for joining. And I know you are a very recognizable face within our space, but for those who may not know your story, how did you first get involved in sports tourism?
Oh yeah, well, it's been a long journey and not a straight line either. Most people don't know this about me unless they know me really well. But when I first got into college, I studied geology and got my undergrad degree studying rocks. And the first thing I wanted to do was move somewhere on my own after college. And I picked, I had a few places in mind. I was shooting for the mountains, and because I'm an avid skier and love to hike and climb and all those things. And so I had my sights set on the Rockies, and, everybody says, "Oh, Colorado, Colorado's where you go," and I went to college in the Midwest at the university. I'm a Hawkeye graduate. And so I'm considering different options. And I had a friend of mine from Michigan who was also graduating, and he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about Salt Lake City." And this was literally right before Salt Lake City hosted the 2002 Winter Olympic Games. This was about a year before that. And I was like, really? What's that? What's out there? Like a Salt Lake? Like, what do you do in Salt Lake City? I hear about Mormons and I hear about a big salty lake. And he's like, dude, there's unbelievable skiing. There's unbelievable mountain recreation. It's actually a pretty big city. He's like, it's totally under-recognized. So I came out, checked it out, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I could do this. So we moved out here on a whim. I packed everything I owned and I moved to Salt Lake City, Utah, and got out here, and we got a job in a little ski resort called Alta, Utah, which is part of Salt Lake County. It's just up in the mountains. And we got a job, and I got my first real taste of hospitality and tourism working in this lodge where people were coming and going, and the whole success of the lodge was built on visitors coming into the area. So really got my first taste of it. And then the Olympics happened, and I was supposed to have left by then. I was supposed to go and get a grown-up job or go back to college and get my master's degree. I didn't do either one. I just decided to stay put, and I just kept skiing and kept playing and wondering when I was going to get serious. And the Olympics happened, and I was totally fascinated. I spent a lot of time. I was actually very poor, so I didn't have a lot of money to go to a lot of the events. I went to a few of the events. I got to see Peekaboo Street on her last race in Snow Basin, which is kind of a heartache race. She didn't podium, and it was her very last race, very emotional for her. But I got to be there for that. I got to see some speed skating. I got to do some other things, but mostly I got to just enjoy the Olympics, being in the city and being in the community. And I spent a lot of time just kind of just checking out the Olympic Village and talking to interesting people from all over the world, like in a bar, having a drink. And I made an effort with a buddy of mine that was convinced we could sell our own T-shirts, and so we were trying to sell. I'm in my like early 20s. We're trying to sell T-shirts. I think I sold 3 T-shirts, but it really had an effect on me, and that was my first real taste of kind of the power of not only tourism but like the sports tourism piece on a scale that's almost unimaginable. And then after that, kind of came and went, and seeing the impact and the legacy that had on this community was always really intriguing to me, and it kind of stuck with me. And I stayed in the lodging sort of world for several years. I kind of worked my way up the ranks, and was managing and doing sales for, right before I came to visit Salt Lake. I was actually up in Park City doing sales for Marriott, and then came down to Salt Lake City and headed up the sales at one of the major hotels that was working with Visit Salt Lake. And by then I knew a lot of the people at Visit Salt Lake. I knew that sports was this possible up and coming market, but was really a small market for them, and was very involved. And I kind of made it my sights that I'm like, this is kind of where I want to go. I want to work for a DMO, a destination marketing organization. And I'd been passionate about sports. I had worked with lots of sport groups through my hotel career days, and kind of learned that industry from the hotel side of it and had that lens on it. And I spent a lot of time studying how the DMO could go after events. And I spent a lot of time trying to collaborate with them on how we can get more sports into Salt Lake. And when that position opened, it was a magical moment for me, because I'm like, this is it. This is what I want. And I kind of went after it just guns a-blazing. I did everything you could possibly do to nail that job down. I mean, I spent countless hours researching. I was calling people in the industry. I walked in there with a head full of things spinning in my head about sports tourism, and I sold them on it. And so got the job, and now that takes us into 2014, and I've been just going and going ever since. And I just love it. And
Awesome.
and here I am all these years later, still in sports tourism. It's been a great career. People ask me, they're like, "Do you wish you did geology?" I mean, my parents for years, like 20 years later, my parents are like, "So when are you going to get a geology job?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm using my degree. Like, people get degrees and they don't do their degrees all the time. That's what happened to me. But like, I'm successful and I didn't pursue a career in geology, but, there's lots of paths in life and mine was not linear. But it got me to where I am at today and I'm grateful for it. And I wish I could say I had this master plan that brought me to this point, but, um, some of it's just ambition, some of it's a little bit of luck, and you just got to believe in yourself along the way. So that was kind of my journey into kind of where I'm sitting right now.
That's awesome. And it's funny, we've had a great working relationship and friendship over the years. And one of my favorite parts about doing this podcast is being able to learn things that I had no idea. So one, I did not know that you were a Hawkeye, and two, just hearing your journey for someone I have so much respect for is great to hear. But you really had a front row seat to Salt Lake's evolution as a sports destination. What has it been like shaping that growth to what it is today?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so when I finally got on officially into the role of, they hired me as director of sport market sales, and they're like, "Hey, here's your closet that you're going to work from. And by the way, we don't know our way around this market, so good luck." And it was just me. And, I sat down and just started put my head down and working and trying to figure out how to bring more sports into Salt Lake City. And um, some of the things I learned very quickly were, and a wise mentor showed me this, that was my former boss at the time. And he said, at the DMO, we don't own anything. We don't own anything we sell. So the only thing we have is the relationships that we can develop and maintain, our partnerships, and our love and belief in the community. And that stuck with me. And all these years later, I still tell my team, I'm like, we don't own anything we sell. We're only as good as our relationships, and we're only as good as the passion that we bring and how we tell our story. And rewinding back then, I started deep diving into the venues. What are the key venues in the city that we could really try to bring events to? And I didn't even have a mechanism, a way to bring the event. Like now we have all kinds of levers we pull. We're like, "Oh, you need incentives. Okay, we'll take you down this incentive approval path. Oh, you need volunteers. Okay, we have a mechanism for that." Back then it was like, "Oh, okay, what do I do here?" And so we were really kind of starting from nothing and not having money really to put toward an event. The only thing I had was getting venues to believe in it, getting hotels to believe in it, and then going out and finding these rights holders and these sports organizers that were curious about our market and getting them to believe that this could be a viable place to have your event. And it started slow. And as I went along and we got some wins under our belt, we learned some things. We lost some opportunities. We learned what we needed to do to maybe okay, let's make it incrementally a little bit more. Let's put a little bit more effort behind this, a little more strategy. And Clay, here's a little bit more money. And we just started from there. And I think the best thing that I could do to take it from there to where it is now started with believing in all that, but also we're storytellers. We are storytellers in our industry, and we rely on mechanisms and ways to tell our story. And the ways we do that is how we use the data and intel and how we can paint that vivid picture back to our stakeholders, back to our boards, back to our everybody involved, the clients, everybody. And we're really ultimately only as good as we can relay that and how they absorb it from us. And I think that's a great tie-in back to you guys. You guys are a way that you have changed the industry landscape and what you brought to it, and you've allowed us as destinations to tell that story better. And it's just at the end of the day, that's the most, I really believe we are storytellers. And I guess maybe I need to be careful with storytelling because some people could say, well, are you fabricating a story? Are you telling a real story? Are you, we have to speak the truth and we have to deliver people what we believe is the truth and be authentic in who we are. And we lean on our data for that and our intelligence for that, that we can gather. And that gives what we're delivering, our message we're delivering, it validates that and gives it, that is that truth, where this data is the underlying part of the story piece. Because if you are delivering BS, you're not going to last long in this industry. Your relationships are going to crumble. Your stakeholders are going to stop believing in you, and you're going to quickly fail and falter. And we've seen this happen time and again across the country to organizations that just aren't playing from an authentic direction. And you have to be careful. I mean, this is a small industry. It's $1 billion industry. We all hear about the money involved. Sports ETA noted over $270 billion are in the sports tourism eco space. But when you boil it down, especially when you're talking youth and amateur, you can fill up a ballroom full of the top people in the country that are involved in placing and booking youth and amateur events and then us destinations that they work with. I mean, it's not a huge pool of people. And if you do something that's inauthentic or you do something that can have people question your reputation, that is one of the quickest ways to end your success in this industry. So I think everyone needs to remember that we work in a very small ecosystem, and that's highly important.
Yep. And there's a lot of things I can touch on there. And so I want to circle back on this, on the storytelling and just the importance of partnerships within the space. But I do want to talk about the launch of Sports Salt Lake. So you launched it in 2021 and you were the reason for that. Could you speak to why you think that was important to separate the brand and how you've seen success in putting a division that is solely focused on the sports side of things?
Yeah. In about 2018, we were observing a few of I'd say the nation's leading DMOs that we also consider that are in our comp set. So I'll give you one that at the time I feel like they were more on the cutting edge, and Visit Pittsburgh had launched Sports Pittsburgh, and they had it going for several years. And when I started paying closer attention to what they were doing, I started noticing there were a few others that were also making these same strategic moves, and I could see what it was doing for them, their community, their DMO, and how they were placed. And I'd say Visit Milwaukee, Sports Milwaukee, Marissa Warner, she was another one that I was eyeing closely. And it made me reflect back of all the things we had accomplished at Visit Salt Lake. By 2018, we were bringing in a fairly significant amount of sporting events. And by then, I had been allowed to hire a couple of people behind me. So we were already building a sports team inside the DMO, and it was already going. But externally, we were just Visit Salt Lake. We didn't talk about sports externally. You couldn't really see it anywhere in our marketing or our media. We would reference these events we would host, but we weren't talking about the strategy and us being fully invested in the sports tourism ecosystem. And so I started putting together a business plan in about 2018 and took it to my former CEO at the time. And he said, "This is great. This is interesting. I think it needs more development. Come back to me when you have it a little further along." So it was kind of this back and forth thing for a year or two as I continued to develop the strategy around what it would look like. And I was trying to get more buy-in from the Visit Salt Lake leadership of that we should take this jump. And I'd gotten it up to a point where I believed we were at a place where it seemed like logically we could launch it. Where I think we had to also pause was we had to make sure that politically and otherwise with our greater community that we were going to do this and we were going to make sure it was a positive step and not something that organizations or people felt threatened or otherwise. So we had to be careful with that. And so we ended up pausing it. And then somewhere along the lines there, our CEO left for another job. So he left Visit Salt Lake. And then this is about when COVID hit. And right as COVID hit, we also got a brand new CEO, Caitlin Eskelson, who's our current CEO right now, president and CEO. Interesting enough, she used to work for Visit Salt Lake years ago. Back in her earlier career, she was actually our marketing director. And then she left and did a variety of things and grew herself, not only tourism, but her leadership skill set and everything. And then she ended up getting the CEO position later in life. And that was all right during COVID. And so it was kind of wild. I met her once and then I didn't see her again for 3 months, just on like this, the only time I saw her. I didn't see her live for like 3 months. But when things kind of started settling after the initial COVID piece, and we realized that, oh, okay, the world's going to go on, the industry's going to go on, we're all going to see the other side eventually. We started putting together some strategy and talking about Visit Salt Lake strategy as we moved into the future. And I I got the business plan out, like dusted it off, changed a couple things, and then I called a meeting with her and gave her the outline of it. And she loved it. And she's like, I need to ask you a question. She's like, why are we not already doing this? Why do we not already have a sports division? And I said, great question. And she goes, well, we're going to fix that. And so she essentially put it into high gear. We had meetings with the mayor, the county mayor. We had meetings with several stakeholders from the state down. And once we had everything in place, we hit the play button and we launched the sort of the sub brand of Sports Salt Lake. And that was January 21 when we basically rolled it all out. I think our press announcement hit in March, but it was all kind of rolling out at that time. And from there, that really energized us in a lot of ways. And it actually gave our stakeholders they could see it and they could grasp it. And they were like, okay, Visit Salt Lake is all in on sports tourism. And they're all in on youth and amateur events. And that enabled us to roll up our sleeves and say, okay, now what we suggest is we do some of these marketing components. We put a little bit more ammunition and firepower behind it in terms of some of Visit Salt Lake's budget. So we started budgeting more and more for Sports Salt Lake based upon its performance. I actually kind of reached a sort of a loose agreement with my CEO and the leadership involved. And I said, hey, look, if we can bring a certain percentage of events, I would ask that we get that certain percentage of budget put over to us and we'll keep making it rain. That was my agreement. I was like, we will make it rain, but I do need more to work with. And so every year we would look at it at the end of the year and be like, okay, Sports Salt Lake has done, they did 18% of all of our total group volume business, and that counts all of our citywide conventions. They were 18% of it. Okay, well, let's make sure we budget minimum of 18% of our group budget over to them so that they can continue to elevate that. Well, now we're at about 30% of everything we do at Visit Salt Lake is sports related tourism. And some people might say, well, you're only 30%. You have to consider that we are one of the leading destinations in the country for conventions. We do close to about 750,000 room nights in just conventions every year. Is a gigantic market for us. So the fact that we're now bringing 30% of that overall group business to Salt Lake every year is sports tourism is a massive win. And it's enabled us to we just keep cranking down and getting more strategic and like, okay, now how do we bring it from here to here to here to here? And we're in a fascinating spot right at the moment and I think we're going to get into this, but we have an interesting 8 years in front of us in Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County. And Sports Salt Lake, I'd say, with everything going on, could not be more important to Visit Salt Lake and could not be more important to our community. So the pressure's on. We're kind of operating in a little bit of a pressure cooker of that. We do feel like we've built this thing and now we really need to deliver, but we also don't believe in failure. We are a team that delivers, and we've continued to always look forward versus backwards. And we always believe in ourselves and believe at the end of the day that we will deliver in one way or another. We will deliver. And that's kind of been our mantra. And that's where we are now.
And now I believe you guys run over 90 sporting events per year, and that number continues to grow. And I think a big part of not just winning new business, but keeping that repeat business is that event experience. And so, from your perspective, what do you think separates a great experience or a good sports destination, that one that people come away saying, this is somewhere I want to be again? And what role do your local partners play within that experience?
Yeah. Great questions. We do put a heavy emphasis on experience, and we believe that that's the ultimate thing you can do, is to create such a high experience that the teams, the athletes, the families, and the organizers are all going to want to come back, and they're all going to want to do more business with us. So we've leaned into experiences quite heavily, and that's been one of our central, I'd say, pillars of focus. We came up with the term, and this term had been used in our industry off and on, but we really embraced athlete experience. Like, we believed if the athletes, let's say it's a youth soccer tournament, we believed if the athletes had the most incredible experience, well, if you're a parent and you're with your child and they're telling you that this has been the best trip of their life, that you took them out to this tournament, you as a parent are like, okay, we won. That's my child's happiness is my absolute top priority. I mean, yeah, I want them to get a college scholarship. That's what we all wish for our kids, but the child's happiness and well-being is like your utmost importance. And for me, I had a daughter that she doesn't play lacrosse anymore, but she played competitive lacrosse through most of her high school. And I would tell her every time we talked about it, because she would worry about that she wasn't performing good enough for me. And I'm like, Clara, I don't care. I don't care. The only thing I care about is are you having fun? Are you meeting people like friends? Like, that was a big reason why we got you into this. And do you love it? And if all of those check off, it doesn't matter how good she is or not. She doesn't even play lacrosse anymore. She got a scholarship, but that was off of her brains, So that's the most important thing that I think all parents ultimately care about, is the happiness and well-being piece. And that's sort of the central pillar with athlete experience. That's what we try to deliver on a event by event and day by day sort of experience, is that athlete experience. And we put a lot of effort in that. And local partners play an important role. I mean, we lean on local partners to help fulfill that, from everything from discounted activity passes that we want to offer groups coming in to, we just hosted the boys USU Soccer Nationals. It's just literally wrapping up, and it's been 2 weeks of Karen and our operations team, they've just been working nonstop for 2 weeks. But we've leaned on a lot of local partners to help build a story and build an experience around that. They had an activities village that they had put together out there, and we had a barbershop tent that the boys could go into, get their haircuts. We had a watch party because there was, the FIFA games were on. We had all these things that they could do, and it takes partners to lean on and want to be involved. And we do a lot to get partners and to get community buy-in. And I could go down a whole rabbit hole in this area, because you've been out to our sports tourism symposium, and we also host a sports tourism social. Our symposium, the sports tourism symposium, is an event we run. I should probably hit that a little bit, because I think it is very important to this audience. Lots of the DMOs are like, oh, should we, or the DMOs that have sports, either commissions or a DMO sports division, should we run an award show? Like, what should we do every year to engage with our stakeholders? Should we run a golf tournament? And a lot of them do those things, and they do great jobs with them. For us, we already have an award show through our state. The Utah Sports Commission, the Governor's State of Sport Awards, they already have a big award show. We don't need to duplicate that. There's more golf tournaments than I can shake a stick at around here. So that wasn't something we really wanted to gravitate to either, because all of our partners and people we like to connect with they're playing in these other tournaments all the time. So we thought, what can we do? And we started with a networking experience where we're like, let's just get everybody together. So we got everybody together, and we had over 100 people in the room just from our area. And these are venue organizers, these are municipality representatives, these are hoteliers, and these are local sports organizers. And all of them are like, we need to do this. There's nothing like this for us. We need to do this more. And from there, we started building out what became the symposium. And we just completed year 5, the 5th annual symposium. We had close to 300 people. We had several keynote sessions that had some really good content, everything from Olympic related to we had a women centric panel talking about women in sports and the growth around Salt Lake. So we had a lot of really cool, engaging panels. And then we built networking around that. And that's become a great way to not only bring the community together, which we wanted to have that as an important feature of it, but even more than that, we wanted the community to know what we were trying to accomplish with sports tourism and what sports tourism means to them. And a lot of them, if you ask any given person, hey, can you define sports tourism for me? The average person doesn't know what you're talking about. They're like, okay, I know what sports is, and I think I know what tourism is, and so I don't really know what sports tourism is. So you kind of have to explain to them what it is, and it's a great way to educate. It's became a great avenue for us to educate our community because we're in a valley with almost 2 million people, and we have 17 different individual towns and cities in this large footprint, and most of them have no idea what we at the time had no idea what we were doing. Now a lot of them do know what we do, and we get calls all the time from our towns and cities way out on the perimeter that are like, "Hey, we're building a skate park. Can you guys help us, or can you guys like give us an idea of maybe what events we could host?" And we get calls like that all the time now, and it's so awesome. And actually, I'm getting calls of like, "Hey, we're thinking about building a facility." I love that one because then I can come in and be like, don't build a skate park. This town here and this town here that are both 2 miles from you just built a skate park. So guess what? Don't build a skate park. Build this thing. Build an ice rink. Build an indoor sports warehouse that has a bunch of basketball courts. Like those are what we need. Like you've already got. You can send your community to either one of those. And by the way, neither of them cost money. They're free. So we can, listen to me. This is a venue that will actually make you money because it has sports tourism components built in, and it'll satisfy your residents with a high quality recreational facility. I love getting into those, but that has given me an avenue for that. It's given us an avenue for that, and it's given us a voice. And it's one of the best things we've ever done. I tell everybody now, our sports tourism symposium is our sort of cornerstone event that, and by the way, it doesn't cost us anything. We give half the tickets away. We sell the other half. So basically, we give the tickets to all the people we want to get there. We sell the tickets to all the people that want to get in there. So our hotels and restaurants, who we value, but they want to get business, and they know that we're bringing 40 sports organizers and 35 sports venue managers are all going to be there. They want to talk to them. So they'll pay us a ticket. And then we also get great partners that buy sponsorship around it. And now the whole thing has become a cost neutral for us. So it doesn't cost us anything. We get a great positioning in the community. We get a great way to tell the story in the community. We get great media. We got international coverage out of the one you came to a year ago. We got international coverage out of that one. So it's been phenomenal. I can't say enough about it. And destinations that ask me about it, I say, come on down. I'll give you a ticket. So I've had a few different cities and towns contact me asking me about it. I'm like, come on down. Because your city can host this too. And that does not affect me at all. Matter of fact, that just grows the whole pie for all of us. So every single destination should be, if they care about sports tourism, should be doing something like that. It doesn't have to be a symposium, but should be doing something like that that can bring the community together, but also allows you to educate them, tell the story, get the buy-in, and get them to actually believe in what you're doing.
Definitely. And I think we could have a whole other episode just
Yeah,
in talking about
I
the
could go pretty far on
investment
that.
of that. But I do think that it's incredibly important because I do think a lot of your success points to your ability to educate and have your community understand the importance of investing in bringing in those sporting events. And we saw it firsthand just from being able to attend your summit, as well as just being in your community and knowing that there are stores and restaurants and hotels that know who you are and what you guys do. And so that investment has clearly been worth it. But something that you guys have been at the forefront of is your investment in innovation and technology. I know you guys were one of the first destinations to really utilize Playeasy, as well as being beta testers for our newest product in Compass. But I wanted to speak to, why has that been important for your organization to be on the front lines, and why is it worth the investment?
Yeah. Well, we are a progressive organization by nature, Visit Salt Lake is, and that's just in our ethos. We are not afraid to test things out. Our CEO's mantra is, "Hey, let's try it. If it doesn't stick, it's fine, but let's try it." And so we've taken that approach at Sports Salt Lake, where we're not afraid to try something, at times we learn from our mistakes, but we're not afraid to try something because most of the time, if you go with your gut and you have a close pulse on the industry, and you're kind of looking forward instead of backwards, you can see what might work and might not work. And Play Easy's, your story's really fascinating to me because our industry was sort of just hitting repeat, play, repeat, and then Play Easy came along, and you guys kind of took everything and then like turned it like this. And you got everybody thinking in different ways. And it's been a healthy evolution and a healthy disruption that you guys were able to kind of bring. And I think during COVID, obviously we were like, well, we can't meet face to face. And, and your model really shined bright, at that point. And, but then we really gravitated to it from a way that we could show off our venues and have our venues know that we have their backs and that we are doing our best effort to sell them and their story. Because back to what I was originally taught and what I originally still believe in is that we don't own anything. It's all relationships. And these venues, it's only as good as the relationships we maintain. And this helps us maintain a really good relationship. It sees that from their viewpoint that we're investing in them and that we're not just asking them for things. Because I think a lot of these venues are like, okay, yeah, you asked me to host your dodgeball event and you want me to tell the locals they can't come in for 3 days. And then you also want me to give you the rent for free. Great. This is a great business plan for me. Thanks, Sports Salt Lake. Well, you can't approach it like that. So for all of these venues, we have to look at them from what can we do to serve that venue? How can we help that venue? And by showing the venue that we're working super hard to advertise on their behalf, to showcase them, man, it goes a long way, a long way. So that was our sort of entry point into Play Easy. And then it just seemed like it kept getting better and better. And I give you kudos, Kerri. I think it would be really easy for you guys to say, hey, we have great technology. Here you go, industry. But you guys have never lost track that it's a human interactive thing and that it's based on relationships, just like what we all value. And you guys have embraced that. And so when we work with Play Easy, it's like, yeah, it's the most incredible technology. But the first thing I think of when I think of Play Easy is I'm like, oh, Kerri, Sean, like I think of all the humans and I think of that connectivity and that goes such a long way. It really does.
Well, thank you for saying that. That really means a lot. And obviously, your team has been unbelievable to work with and have become good friends and been able to be out to Salt Lake a bunch just to see. So, but thank you.
Pop quiz for you. Do you remember where we were when we first met? What town were we in? I'll give you a hint. It was in Texas,
Okay. Texas, was it?
El
Oh
Paso.
my gosh. Yes, El Paso. That's so
You were
funny.
in El Paso. Yeah.
Yes,
We ended up at a dinner together.
yes, and we
But
were on the
not just like
rooftop.
we were in a group dinner together. Don't want to
Yes.
start
Oh
any
my
rumors
goodness.
here.
With Melissa
But
and yes, I
yeah,
forgot.
yeah. So that was actually the
Yeah.
first time we met. So
Well,
and
we've
then ever since
done
then,
a lot more.
all I see is Kerri. Every time I turn around, I'm like, there's Kerri again.
Oh, too funny. Well, so you've just recently taken over as board chair of Sports CTA, I think this month. So now you are not only leading Sports Salt Lake, but also just a visionary and leader within the sports tourism space. And so, what are you most excited about in leading the organization, and what can people look forward to within your role?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I know everybody's hearing that I'm stepping into chair. That really started about 7 years ago, and I applied to get on the board. Didn't get on it. Applied again. I think it was my second time I got on it. And that's very common. Like the Sports ETA board. Most people have applied 2-3 times to get on it. The process to get on the board is led by a nomination committee that's actually separate from the board. It's separate from Sports ETA. It's led by our peers amongst membership, and it's a thoroughly vetted. You go through a lot of. I mean, it's one of the most thorough interviews I've ever gone through. And to be elected onto the board and knowing that you are representing your peers and that they're saying we're going to put you forward in hopes that you represent us in a good way and that you uphold what we all feel that are our values and our intentions and what we want to accomplish. We hope you do that for us. And so me as a destination representative on the board, it's really my duty. I have to take off the Sports Salt Lake hat because not every decision I can make on the board is perfectly aligned with Sports Salt Lake. If I was doing that, it would be a very biased way to sit on the board. And with the board, you really have to take off the hat you wear at home and you have to put on your Sports ETA hat. And I have to say, now I represent all destinations because I represent that category, that membership category, and all the entities that fall into that category. And it's a lot of pressure. But I also love it too, because I've always felt this passion for our industry within the association, but also in the sports tourism ecosystem. And I've always loved the relationship pieces and how it all fits together and how it really matters how you carry yourself, being authentic. All of that really, really matters. And so while I feel some pressure of that on the board, it's also really fun. And it's kind of a natural way that I feel like I can give back and sort of not even uphold, but hopefully help guide our association to a better place for all of us. And that's really largely my goals and intentions being on the board. And now that I've worked my way up to chair, which was a multi-year process, you have to first get elected as secretary treasurer. So it's kind of like starting all over again. And then once you're secretary treasurer, then you're on a trajectory to go through the executive committee sequence until you hit chair. And they're all 1 year sequences. And I'm glad it's taken till now. And I actually did it a little bit faster than some people have done it. Sometimes people do a couple of terms on the board and then try to work their way through. And by the time they get to chair, they've been doing it for a decade. I think I'm on my year number 6 right now. So by the time I get done with the board, I'll have about 7 years total. And it's been good. All of that's been good leading up to now because I had to sharpen my skill set once I got to the board level in terms of representing our industry. I really had to sharpen my skill set, and nobody's ever done learning. I learn every day. I know you do too. And nobody's ever done learning. But I'm glad I had until now to get here because I feel like I can see things clearer and I feel like I have a better grasp on some things that I think our industry needs. And it's also allowed me to grow back home too and get more experience and more under my belt back in Salt Lake also. So now as I hit chair, I feel like timing of everything. It's kind of like I was meant to wait until now to do this piece. And it's a really fun crossroads in my career. I just turned 50. Not afraid to say my age here. So I just turned 50, and like you know, when you hit 50, you kind of have those where you can look forward and you can see, okay, I have another 10, 15 years, but you can look back and see, man, I've been working for 20 plus years. So it's you're kind of at this weird crossroads of life where you can kind of look both ways and see what you still have, you know, hopefully coming, but what you've already done. And to have that with hitting all of this at the same time, I feel like I'm in a meaningful time in my career where I really feel like I guess I really was put here on earth to do sports tourism. Who would have known?
Well, I am very excited for you to take on that role, and I think anyone listening to this conversation can hear your passion and wanting to make this industry as best as it can be. But you do now have a very unique perspective on what's happening within this space. So, what trends are you most excited about right now?
Yeah, I think there. I mean, there's several, but we can't ignore how the technology is evolving almost faster than what we can all even use it with. Like, how are all of us using AI, Claude, whatever you use? How are you using that right now for your job and to do what you do? And for the entities that are using technology as what they do, so like a Playeasy, you guys even have more work than we do of like, how do you embrace it and how do you evolve quick enough? And so everybody's trying to evolve. And it's a really interesting time for this to be happening because our industry's also, it seems like the lid came off and what was happening, the sports tourism ecosystem was already happening and it was growing, but the lid came off. And now the whole world and country seems to know, and kudos to Sports ETA. But we've also had a lot of entities like Playeasy and other ones that have been telling the story too of like how sports tourism is worth over 270 billion and how gigantic it is. And there's millions and millions of people that actually work in sports tourism. So it's this giant industry and the lid's off now. And it seems like the whole world is discovering, oh, wow, there's this whole sports tourism thing. And in the tourism space, you can see it happening. It's sports. The conversation of sport is popping up more and more in all the tourism spaces. It's just a interesting time. And it's all happening at the same time that we're going through this crazy evolution with technology and AI and how industry partners like Playeasy are evolving and incorporating AI. And it's just fascinating. I wish I could tell you and everyone what's going to happen in 5 years, but none of us know what's going to happen in 5 years. Like, how are we as destinations going to measure events effectively in 5 years? How are we as destinations going to bid on events and win those events in 5 years? The one thing I know for sure is that the human component is going to be more important than ever. I was just talking to one of my staff members about this yesterday. You know, you can throw in a bid book template, and I could throw in an RFP, both in Claude, and say, spit me out a bid for this. I need to send it in 10 minutes. Boom. It spits out a bid book. I send it off. Now, that's great, and it makes us look awesome. But guess what? Everybody else can do the exact same thing. In 5 years, what does a bid book what does any of that even matter at that point? Because we're all going to have amazing, glossy bid books. But what is going to matter is the human component. And I think getting in front of people to tell the story, to talk to them about your bid, to tell them about your hometown, to tell them about your product, all of that, getting that human time is going to be more important than ever. And so at Sports ETA, I think the future, a lot of it is going to gravitate toward advocacy, is going to gravitate toward the ability to network for business and education, and which are all, you know, those are all pretty key points and pillars. But those things are going to be so important because those are where the humans are going to gravitate to. I kind of got lost a little bit.
No, I think
is there something you
that's
wanted me to
great.
hit on? I mean, Playeasy, and this is kind of a natural in for the Compass part of Playeasy, which has been, I think, a really revolutionary sort of evolution of what you guys do. and being able to incorporate that AI technology into the DMO's platform, and into what the visitor, athletes, parents, whoever it is, ultimately to what they can access, and then feeding them back into our destination, which is exactly what we want to accomplish. So it's all been incredible, and we've really loved our journey with Playeasy, and kudos to you guys for doing such amazing work.
Thank you for saying that. And I think it's been interesting. We're going through our bid process right now for 2027, and being able to speak to now just the importance of those relationships in wanting to host in certain spaces, because at the end of the day, as a tech company, we have no idea what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, a month from now, a year from now, and we're going to continue to build on that side of things. But what will never be replaced are those relationships and the importance of that. So I think that's great. They touched on that. But just as we finish up, to put your Sports Salt Lake hat back on, I'd be remiss by not bringing up the 2034 Olympics.
Oh yeah,
What
there's that thing. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So leading up to 2034, what opportunities do you see now and then, and how has it changed the conversations that you're having with event organizers and your local stakeholders?
Yeah, it is. I tell you, we're on a wild ride right now. So until we get to 2034, we've got it's going to be pardon our dust a little bit, so to speak, in Salt Lake. We've got a lot of major projects and renovations that are on the horizon or that are almost about to start. So Smith Entertainment, who owns the Delta Center and owns Jazz and Mammoth, they're actually going to build an entertainment district adjacent to the Delta Center. That project's going to start next year. That'll be a multi-year project, and then there'll be branded hotels that go into that. There'll be restaurants, shops. It will change the dynamics of what people experience in downtown Salt Lake City. We are already a fun city, as people have come to learn. We're done. You know what? And we're done. We're done. Like, I don't ever hear anymore. People are like, I can't get a drink. But you do have to have a private club license. Nobody asks us those silly questions anymore, because people have been to the modern Salt Lake City now, and they realize that, hey man, this is a pretty fun city. You guys got a lot of fun stuff going on here. I didn't even notice those things that I'd heard about. So a lot of that is really in our past, and we are a different city now than what we used to be, and we don't have to apologize about anything now, or please excuse our weirdness. This is a cool, our new brand is America's Mountain City, and it fits us really well. And we are a cool city that's right in the middle of the mountains. It's going to be an interesting road. Not only with the entertainment district, our Salt Palace is also going to go under a renovation. And we're going to have to deal with those things that are going to be over a 3 to 4 year span. And the Olympics, and I say this as well, the Olympics is this incredible event. But the Olympics is just one moment. It's one moment. It's a long moment. It's a 2-month moment. But the Olympics and Paralympics are a moment in time. What can we do from a tourism standpoint, and how do we tell that story? And what can we do leading up to the Olympics? So we call this, we've been talking about the runway to the games, and we call it a lot of things in our community. But what can we do between now and the games? And how can we keep advancing our story and what we are in our journey? And part of it is a city under transformation as we prepare for the games and we prepare to take this next step as a city. We are a city that punches way above our weight class when it comes to international awareness. I mean, you ask anybody, you go over to Europe and just grab somebody and say, do you know Salt Lake City? Do you know this other city? And they're like, oh, I know, I've heard of Salt Lake City. So it punches above its weight class, and it's sort of from what people internationally, what people know about it. And with the Olympics also coming here, we are a natural attractor for international. And that's actually been woven into some of our business strategy, is like, what can we do, not only from a sports standpoint, what can we do, to host more of these international championships, but also from just travel. How do we get more internationals coming here for vacation and otherwise? And so we're putting a lot of effort and we're putting on a pretty critical lens of like, how do we improve that and how do we get more of that? Because that's a natural growth place for us, especially right now with the gains in 8 years. But it's truly exciting. This city is already unrecognizable to me from what it was 10 years ago. And if you go 10 years from now and we're a couple of years past the games, it's going to once again be unrecognizable. I've never really seen a place that has gone under this much transformation and still has this much in front of it and as much energy and support from the community to make it happen. And everybody works together. It's pretty remarkable. It's like a small town. Everybody really does work together.
Yeah, and I can attest to, I was in Salt Lake last week, and one of the nicest airports I think I've ever been to, and just the most picturesque landing that you can see. Someone from the Northeast, it's something we don't see over here. So
Yeah.
to close this out, what are you most looking forward to this year?
This year, we're working through some strategies here at home base on there's a lot of eyes on us right now from stakeholders and everyone of like, okay, so we got all this stuff in front of us. That's great that the Olympics is coming, but me as a hotelier, this is one of our hoteliers, me as a hotelier, we're just trying to get through the next year. Like, what are you going to do for us in the next 6 months to a year? So while we love to look long term and we love to dream about what we will be, we also have to look at what we are now and what can we do to energize and to find new and creative ways to help our community members, help our restaurants, help our hotels. And we've done a great job in telling our story, and our community knows what we're trying to do. But it's also put the spotlight on us of where the community's like, okay, well, you told us that's what so now what are you going to do? So it puts pressure back on us, but we like to operate like this. We like to be kind of behind a little bit where we're going to fight to get back in front. And we have a long history of doing that.
Awesome. Well, Clay, I could talk to you for hours, and we should definitely do a few follow-ups from this conversation. But just to close us out, is if someone wanted to get in touch with you within the space, what is the best way of doing so?
Just give my cell number. No, actually, my cell number is publicly out there, so you can call my cell or you can text me. And I'm always happy to talk to anybody about the industry, about the association that I'm so passionate about what we've done as a DMO. It really is a rising tides. I've always believed that you can share your story. You can share, you're not giving away all your secrets, but you can share your story and you can share what a win means to your community. And, one thing I've learned is every community can find that thing, that one thing that they can do, that can be theirs. And I think a lot of communities question themselves, especially smaller ones, of like, we don't have what you have. We don't have all these venues. We don't have all these people. And it's like, you need to take a good close look at what you do have. And you need to start believing in yourself and your community versus always looking at whatever this better thing is. I could sit here. We are 6 hours away from Las Vegas. Las Vegas has 100 times more money than we do to go after events. They have 5 to 10 times, 20 times as many venues and assets and capabilities, 20 times as many hotel rooms. I could cry all day long about all the business that visit Las Vegas or Las Vegas gets, which, by the way, I love Janice and her team. They're amazing. But I could cry all day long with all the business they get and how that's unfair. And we're only 6 hours away and woe is Salt Lake. But you can't spend your time and energy doing that stuff. You have to look inside and find what makes your community special. And you got to start from there.
I think that was a perfect ending, and I love that testament. So, Clay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. This has been a blast.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks everyone. Until next time.